start off with how'd you get a job in Owyhee County as sheriff?
I was losing my farm, and I moved to Murphy. I thought I'd get a good job based out of here. And the justice of the peace then, before he became magistrate, he wanted me to run for sheriff. The old sheriff had been here for 9 years, got a job with the federal marshals, and he gave it to a deputy that had been in law enforcement 9 months and didn't know Owyhee County. And it just kind of upset some people. So I put my name in the ring, and I won by 2 votes.
Wow.
So that put me on my way.
How many people voted in this county, do you know?
Oh, I don't know. At that time, there were about 7,500 total population. They vote pretty heavy, so
Really? Yeah.
I don't know how many. I won 2 races by 2 votes. I won that one, and then when we was building the jail, I really had to pitch to get a new jail. I gotta say, I think I was the only sheriff that built a new jail without having a federal lawsuit on my neck. And I was just that far from it, I knew. You could just see the signs on the wall. And the day of that election, that morning, a gas tanker went off into the river down at down by Jarbridge. They were just right on the Idaho-Nevada line. And I had a little problem getting an airplane here to get down there. And we wanted a big enough airplane. We had 2 of them coming and they had to wait for them. And so I went in and voted just by, a half chance, and I reminded my chief deputy, and he went in and voted, or we'd have been gone.
That was your 2 votes?
That was my 2 votes. So.
How old were you?
I was 31.
And you were a buckaroo, or?
Well, I grew up on the mountain. Yeah, cowboy. And Dad sold out the ranch up there. We come down and tried to raise cattle down near irrigated pasture. We just weren't good enough farmers to make it work. And so I gave it up and come in here. And I was just gonna do day jobs around machinery and whatnot.
Never planned on being a sheriff, huh?
Nope.
Well, I guess we'll get right into the Claude Dallas story. When did you hear about Claude Dallas?
Well, I worked quite a bit with Bill Pogue, and I know he told me about a man that was in northern Humboldt County, and really watch if I ever get down there. And I don't know for sure that was Claude that he was telling me about, but I think it was, as I remember. But anyway, what was the 5th of January, 81. And I got a call here at the office from my prosecuting attorney. And my prosecuting attorney he had not ran for re-election, so he was going to be out the 8th of January. So I had him for 3 days. And Dallas, Jim Stevens went to the prosecutor down there and gave him a story. Went to an attorney, and the attorney took him over to the prosecutor. And they gave him the story. They called our prosecutor. And I got word just before noon, about 11:30. I don't know why, when I walked up the hall, my wife was working at the courthouse. As I walked up the hall, I got on the phone. I'd spent about a half hour on the phone, and I notified the fish and game of what I'd heard, and I called the governor's office. I knew that if, there's 2 dead game wardens, that's going to be the governor and what I know. I called his office direct. He turned right around and called the press right then, which didn't help. And I got an airplane coming. I got a man from law enforcement division. I knew Harry Capal, the investigator. And when I called, I asked for him, get your good clothes on and get out here. And Harry knew how to dress for going down there. I got all that done pretty rapidly. Got my airplane lined up. And I started up the hall to talk to my wife to tell her I wouldn't be home for lunch. What was going on. And I don't know, just something in my head. I just had a vision. It's just about how that scenario went, just what it was going to go for the next 2 years of my life. And that's what it was. And we went down that day. Of course, we had a whole bunch of people there the next day come in on us. The telephone call to the governor's office, and I'd already got things greased, and we got guard helicopters to get us in there. Where that was, well, to drive from here down there and back out, you can't do it in one day. You just can't do it.
Was that in Paradise?
Yeah, well, no, this is down at Bull Basin.
Oh, Bull Basin.
And I didn't know, Jim Stevens didn't know exactly where he was at. He made a guess and told me how he got there. I didn't know that country down there at that time. I mean, I'd never been past 45, on the ground. And this is another 15 miles down there. I had no reason to go out there. I'd been out to Star Valley once on a airplane deal. So anyway, I guessed where it was and set on the map. And when we finally got out of Murphy, the sun was just going down, and we got in there and we flew it and spotted everything.
Bill Polk, I think he left Boise at 10:45 or something close to that.
Mm-hmm.
If he made it out there, wouldn't he have to drive all night?
He did.
And he seen Eddie Carlin at first, and then went to boot camp.
Well, him and Conley went out, and they rolled their bedrolls out at the gate to the 45 for a couple hours. Mm. And then he went out, and there was a guy from, I'm going to say Fossil, Oregon out there, that he went out and gave him a citation for the way he was trapping, and come back, and he just, for some reason, Joanne said something about Claude Dallas down there. And of course, Pogue's ears perked up. And he went back out there, and he got there. It was late in the afternoon.
And they did have the 45 leased at the time.
Well, they were leasing it, I think. They didn't own it, they were leasing it. But they were there on the 45. Him and his dad.
Mm-hmm. How long was it before they finally caught up with Claude Dallas?
The first time.
The first time.
I can't remember the exact date, but it was in March of '82 that we captured him there at the first time at Paradise in Nevada. There.
So he was on the run for over a year.
A little over a year.
Yeah.
Yep. That was my whiskey bet. I bet a lot of whiskey on that. I said, you got to give me 2 years, but I'll get him. Uh-huh. I had a lot of whiskey bet, and I didn't get too much of my whiskey, but I got some.
Could you tell me how they got the tip? Or
No, I really, I don't know complete story on that. Never did ask, but it was the FBI that developed it.
Oh, it was.
Uh-huh. And Frank Menzel, when we was down there to begin with, I could see how things were going with the press. And I had a long talk with George Calley, our FBI man, the FBI man from Reno, and Harry Capal and I was sitting, talked a long time about it. And I said, I'm going to do something I'm not supposed to do as a cop. I'm going to talk to the press and keep using this. I said, we can use that. And that's what I did. Mm-hmm. And I told them a lot I shouldn't have told them, and talked to them a lot of times when I shouldn't have. But we used them to keep the hype alive. Mm-hmm. And then another thing that happened in there real slick for us was, you've seen the posters.
Yeah.
The Claude Dallas posters. My brother-in-law was running the print shop for Albertsons. Mm-hmm. And he said they had some stock that they weren't really going to use. It had been there a long time, and could he make posters for us? Mm-hmm. And we spent about 2 weeks getting those designed and up, and he printed just case after case after case of them. For me, I think I had, 6, 8 boxes of them. Mm-hmm. So when anybody wanted a poster to put up somewhere, they'd get 6. Mm-hmm. So.
Do you remember what was the reward on that?
Was it 20,000?
20,000.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
I think it was 20,000. And I never did know who got it. Hmm. I gave the money to Harry, who gave it to Frank Menzel, who gave it to the man that called, or the woman. Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious about Charlie. What was his last name?
Fannin.
Fannin. It looked like Claude Dallas.
He did. He looked the world like Claude Dallas. There were a lot of guys with a beard and those rimmed glasses. Mm-hmm. And they were popular then, both the beard and the glasses. There were a lot of people.
Now, did Charlie ever get in trouble or almost arrested or?
Well, they nailed him up there. It was well into it that, and see, Claude had been to Alaska once and talked about going back, and so there was we kind of did some special push up that way. Well, Charlie, I can't remember what it was. I mean, they sat there. It took them 4 or 5 hours to clear him. They didn't just ask him who he was and look at these papers. Mm-hmm. But I knew him. I knew his dad well. I just knew who he was. And I got a call that night. They had him in their hand when I got a call.
Oh, yeah. Did he end up working for the sheriff's department?
Yeah, he worked for a jailer here for me, and then he went to work for Canyon County, and then he went back to Alaska and was the Homer, Alaska, the chief of police in Homer.
Oh, it was. Mm-hmm.
And I understand he's back in the States in West Virginia. His dad went back to West Virginia, and I think that's where he is now, the last I heard.
So anybody looking for Claude Dallas would probably come across a look-alike.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot of look, and some of them look good.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious, as you know, Bill Pogue was probably the big reason that swayed the jury to not convict Claude Dallas for murder. Can you expound on that a little bit? A lot of people say, he was a little stern.
The Fish and Game Department at that time didn't know when you meet somebody, you can give them a ticket or you can chew their ass. But you don't do both. Don't ever do both. And Fish and Game just didn't understand that rule. And Bill Pogue was pretty good at giving the lectures. So I think that he had that kind of reputation. Now, I don't think it was that well deserved. He was strict, but I don't think he was that mean a guy. Really don't.
Would you say it was fair?
Oh yeah, totally. Totally fair. In fact, Fish and Game, most of their guys were pretty fair. They were just too strict. This is black and this is white. There's nothing in between.